Fire Emblem Roguelike Hethia's Quest is a ROMhack of sacred stones created by a group known as the RPG Club, originally released back in 2023. The roguelike conversion mod, or hack, has become increasingly popular over the years, especially when you've got a solid gameplay foundation with a limited runtime. Ironically, Sacred Stones does kind of have an infinite post-game, as long as you don't mind doing literally the same thing over and over again. With Hethia's Quest, you can do the same thing over and over again, but with some slight variations instead. Jokes aside, though, Hethia's Quest does a lot more than just stretch the gameplay of GBA-era Fire Emblem to infinity. The first new feature you're introduced to, and in my opinion the most striking one, is your unique main character, Hethia. This bony bozo can be customized with a vast number of classes, both new and familiar, passive and active abilities, and that's even before entering the battlefield and getting equipped with a wide array of new weapons, accessories, and even the skill system from newer Fire Emblem games. The number of unique playthroughs you could do of this game is staggering. Not only do you have your customizable skeleton, Hethia, but you also have over 30 other characters from other Fire Emblem games and even some other ROM hacks. Some of those characters have unique mechanics and classes that Hethia doesn't even have access to. When it comes to how you play your run, this hack has got you covered in nearly every way. Best of all of these characters and classes benefit from one of GBA Emblem's most beloved features: awesome sprite animations. Due to the mechanics of the game that allow units to hold on to weapon masteries over D rank rather than losing them when changing classes, some classes and weapon combos do default to the basic overworld attack animation. Most, though, have downright beautiful, smooth animations that bring to mind the thrill of seeing your swordmaster get a crit back in the day. Seeing all the animations the hack has to offer is almost a reason to do multiple playthroughs all on its own. After loading into the game, and before heading off to the labyrinth and starting your run, you've got a few facilities at your disposal. The tavern will let you take quests that pay meta currency to upgrade your various facilities and purchase boosts for your next run. Characters will also show up here from time to time, allowing you to unlock them without defeating them out in the labyrinth. From there, you can head south to the armory, which lets you rebuild Hethia for a price, though with further upgrades, you can eventually lower and even do away with the cost altogether. You will need to beat the game at least once on hard to get the free respec upgrade, though I would highly recommend doing that early, so you can do as much experimentation as possible with no penalty. This also gets a shop later that lets you buy weapons that persist between runs. I don't think any of them are very good, but you can certainly do it if you'd like. The last major facility is the temple, which lets you purchase skill scrolls for any of the skills in the entire game, and there are a lot. You can use those scrolls then during your next run to have that skill guaranteed. Then, once you're off to the labyrinth, the choices still don't end. There are a vast number of choices you can make to alter your run, even adding or removing major gameplay elements. Depending on how many positive and negative modifiers you take, the tendency of the labyrinth is decided, which is your difficulty. Light is easy, harmony is normal, and dark is hard. You can choose to play with allies you can control and level up, or only green allies that control themselves. You can turn on and off Fog of War. You can disable the ability to use meta items. You can even turn off experience entirely, or make your growths abysmal for an extreme challenge where you'll need to think outside the box to survive. Once you're finally in the thick of it, you'll plow through the labyrinth one floor at a time, choosing from a variety of interaction points to advance. You've got battles, which reward money, experience, and sometimes items. These are your bread and butter. You always want to do at least one battle for floor if possible. Villages allow you to recruit allies, train the strength of everyone in your party, or get a random item for free. Temples allow you to restore 10 HP for free, train your magic, or increase your max HP for an even greater cost than training. Though at 1 max HP per 50 gold, it's a little steep. Chests, though, are the real wild cards. These events can do anything from giving you a random amount of gold to granting you a massive permanent stat boost. The unfortunate truth with chests, though, is that the actual amount of useful events is pretty low. And most of the time, the best choice is to just leave without risking anything. But there's always that chance that you'll see that temple background show up. Meaning you just got the giant stat boost. Ooh, when that happens, molto bene. At least it is, as long as you don't get cucked with the plus 30 experience variety. Now, with all of that said, the truth of Hethia's quest is that despite all of this content, the plentitude of little touches and details, the cool mechanics and potential for challenge runs, your playthroughs will likely become uninteresting around the midway point. If you're playing even remotely optimally, Hethia, or whoever you're playing as, will become so powerful that only the worst RNG imaginable will be able to kill you. Once you defeat the boss on floor 10, you're allowed to promote, and that's usually the point that you become a god among men, annihilating foes with extreme prejudice as their attacks bounce uselessly off your calloused hide, even on hard mode. I've even managed to get to this point of total invincibility with the staggeringly useless joke class Revenant. That's where Hethia takes on the role of the most useless enemy in the original game, the zombie. I think ultimately this is a consequence of fitting the game into this more bite-sized roguelike mold. Particularly the fact that the vast majority of battles are between you and one other enemy. There is very little strategy, very little in the way of team or unit building outside of the character creation screen. You heap stats and the best weapons onto your character, or your ally if you're doing that kind of run, and by the end you're just completely unstoppable. The game sometimes feels a little too harsh at the start, and it pretty much always gets way too easy toward the end. Like I said, though, it's just a consequence of the overhauls that have had to be made for this concept to work at all. I would personally love a Fire Emblem style game that's a full-length campaign with randomized allies and enemies, maybe even maps, but that's so far out of the realm of possibility with a project like this. It's incredible what they've done here, honestly. What you do have is a project with a ton of love put into it that is really, really impressive despite the flaws. Plus, I mean, come on, it's free. And for that price, I have to recommend it. I put way more hours into this game than I ever thought I would. And I even got to the point where I did a no EXP run with the previously mentioned joke class. If I wasn't having fun, I would not have taken the time to figure out the logistics of how to make that work. So that should tell you plenty there. If you're a fan of Fire Emblem, especially the GBA era like I am, I can't recommend this game enough. It isn't perfect, the format comes with flaws of its own, but there's so many little details, so much content, so many ways to play the game that you've got to check it out for at least a run or two. Like, just give it a couple hours of your time. And as somebody who put a ton of time into it, there was still stuff I was learning toward the end. That's just crazy. If you want a hint, recruit units at villages until you get one of the unique characters, and then level them up, and something very, very cool happens. And I guess, while I'm here, I know this is a completely unreasonable request from a literal nobody YouTuber, but RPG Club, if you guys watch this, for one, excellent work here. But I would love if you guys added more recruitable versions of some of the monster classes to do runs as. This is just a very, very humble request from a man who wants to annihilate his foes as the Hellhound or the Gargoyle. Anyway, as always, downloads in the description below. I want to say thank you again to the RPG Club for an amazing hack, and thanks to everybody else for watching. This has been Torvis, You beautiful weirdos have a great night. God bless.